Alright, we're finally at the end of the 2000s with the series. It's time to talk about the best hit songs of the final year of that decade, 2009. This was the year I turned 10 years old, and it was also a pretty important year in my life, since this was the year my family moved from Vancouver to Thunder Bay, where I lived up until 2021. More relevant to this video though, 2009 was a pretty important year for music as well. This year marked a shift in the kind of music that the radio was generally playing. This was the year where the seeds of the club boom were being planted. Sure, there was upbeat dancing music before this point, but this was a year in which artists like Lady Gaga, the Black Eyed Peas, Flo Rida, Pitbull, and Cobra Starship were hugely popular, all of whom will be known for their club boom hits throughout the early 2010s. Also, even though they didn't have any hits on the 2009 year-end list as lead artists, we can also add in Kesha, David Guetta, and LMFAO, as this was the year they started breaking out in North America. All this would set the club boom years that would follow for the next 2 Billboard years. None of the songs I'm talking about in this video are really club boom bangers per se, but I want to set up that bit of context for when I get to the next 2 years in the series. There were some upbeat tunes that did make the 2009 year-end list though, and I can't wait to talk about them. So let's get into the list. Reminders as always, only the songs that debuted on the 2009 year-end Hot 100 list are eligible for this list, meaning these 12 songs will also be the 2008 list, and any songs not on the 2009 list are disqualified. Go watch my previous best and worst hit songs list, especially those in this top 10 best songs of 2019 series, to avoid any spoilers for songs I talked about there. I'm not going to do a top 10 worst hit songs of 2009 video, but here are the songs I put on that list if you're curious. And finally, this list is just my opinion. Please don't get mad at me by ordering or picks differ from yours. Feel free to let me know in the comments what your favorite hit songs of 2009 are. Okay, let's get into what the top 10 best songs of 2009 are. Starting off with... an artist I've already talked about 4 songs by in this series so far, Kelly Clarkson. And I could once again go over how Kelly Clarkson is an incredibly talented singer, given that she was the American Idol winner 7 years prior, and how she sounds great on this track, especially on the bridge. But equally as good as Clarkson's vocals is the song itself. I Do Not Hook Up is a fantastic upbeat pop rock song thanks to its catchy guitar line and melody that makes the song feel a little more on the side of dance pop than most pop rock, which makes sense given the song was originally meant for Katy Perry. But Kelly Clarkson pulled off the song arguably as well, or even better than Perry could have. She's a very expressive singer, and for a song about how a potential partner could get into her, she definitely pulls it off. She doesn't hook up, she goes slow, she doesn't come cheap. Don't deny the slow motion sparks and chills that you're feeling. You want to chase her, but you're just chasing your tail. The distance between you and Clarkson could be over with a snap of your fingers. This song does remind me a bit of 2006's Walk Away, which unfortunately didn't quite be my top 10 best songs of 2006 video. That's another upbeat, groovy pop rock song about a potential partner wanting to get into her, but Clarkson telling them what they need to do to satisfy her and make this a successful relationship. But I Do Not Hook Up manages to be even better for a few reasons. Firstly, Clarkson's vocals here aren't quivering here like they were on the verses of Walk Away. She sounds more empowered here, and she also seems to want to empower her potential partner as well. She is genuinely interested in being with the person she's singing to, but the person she's singing to needs to be satisfied by a relationship that isn't just a quick fix. Secondly, as I said, that melody is so infectiously catchy. It's probably the catchiest song I've ever heard from Kelly Clarkson. Again, this song was originally planned to be performed by a different singer. It would have been interesting to hear Katy Perry's version of this song too, but Kelly Clarkson is a more expressive singer than Katy Perry, so maybe it's for the best I went to Clarkson. Don't worry, I'll be talking about Katy Perry later in this series. But as for Kelly Clarkson, she sang one of the most infectiously upbeat relationship songs I've ever heard, and easily her best hit song of 2009. And this won't be my last time talking about her in this series. I haven't even gotten to her best hit song ever yet, so stay tuned.
I'm spending all my time just thinking about you. I don't know what to do. I think I'm falling for you.
I don't imagine this song is going to make many other people's best hit songs of 2009 lists, but yes, I really do love this song. I've said this before, but I'm a sucker for saccharine acoustic ballads, and Fallen For You by Colby K-Lat is one of the sweetest songs I've ever heard. The gentle acoustic guitar, drum beat, and pedal steel give the song such a warm, comforting feeling to it. When I hear it, it makes me want to close my eyes and imagine myself sitting on a porch swing on a warm summer day, feeling the warmth of the sunshine beating down and feeling a soft, cool breeze on my skin. It's the kind of song that I could almost fall asleep to, but equally as soft as the instrumentation are Colby K-Lat's vocals. It really adds to the warm pleasantness of the song, and she's got a perfect voice to sing lullabies, or perhaps a really sweet love song. She sings about how she thinks she's falling for someone, but is holding back. She's trying not to tell them, despite how much she wants to because she's scared of what they'll say, but she's tired of keeping these thoughts inside her head. And then on the second verse, this person grabs her hand and dances with her, but still, she doesn't tell them how she really feels about them. It really sounds like a song that Taylor Swift would make. I mean, the song does border on country. It's the closest thing to a country song to make this top 10, and K-Lat would go on to make an actual country album album 14 years later with Along the Way. Not only that, but Colby Calab would actually sing background vocals on Taylor Swift's song Breathe, a deep cut from Fearless. This sort of pleasant, acoustic, unrequited love song from the girl next door does sound a lot like something you'd expect Taylor Swift to make, but Colby Calab sells it just as well. And like on the song Breathe, this song has some really beautiful harmonization, though this harmonization doesn't sound somber like it did on Breathe. All the elements just come together so seamlessly to make such a soft, heartfelt tune. I could see some people claim this song is way too sappy or lovey-dovey, but screw what they say. I may be an almost 27-year-old man, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I absolutely love this song. It definitely brings a smile to my face and makes me feel like drifting away whenever I hear it. And you have to be a real sourpuss to not also feel the same way. It's easily Colby Calab's best hit song and my favorite song I've heard from her. I don't know what to do. I think I'm falling for this song. One particular category of songs I haven't really gone into detail with in this series are soundtrack songs. Songs that were specifically made with the soundtrack of a theatrical movie. I've already talked about a few examples of those in the series so far, and here's another one, The Climb by Miley Cyrus, which was made with the soundtrack of Hannah Montana the movie. As I'm sure you know, Miley Cyrus was best known at the time as the star of the Disney Channel sitcom Hannah Montana, about an ordinary teenage girl who also has a double life as a pop superstar Hannah Montana. Of course, the song isn't credited to Hannah Montana, it's credited to Miley Cyrus, and is sung by a regular persona of Miley Stewart in the movie. It's a moving power ballad about aspiring to achieve your dreams and continuing to chase them despite the hardships and struggles you're facing along the way. Even despite a voice in your head telling you that you'll never make it, and despite how much of an uphill battle it is, you still have to keep trying regardless. It's a very persevering song, and that feeling of inspiration and knowing that you'll eventually make it is perfectly captured with the crescendo that builds to that final chorus. The song starts off with a soft piano before adding a guitar on the first chorus, then the drums right before the second verse. And that guitar solo on the bridge sounds great too. Similar to You and Me by Lifehouse, it sort of sounds like a worship song that I'd hear at church. It's still got the same sort of pop rock sound while still being relatively gentle so as not to clash with the lyrics and still pulling off that moving forward feeling. It's a song that can certainly bring hope to someone who's trying to achieve their goal and is close to giving up. Don't give up. You'll make it if you keep trying, but you have to keep on trying. It may take a while, but as Miley says in the chorus, it's not about how fast you get there or what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The thrill of being able to say you made it is more important than the end goal you're trying to achieve. It's a fantastic, uplifting song, though I'm not even sure if this is the best song from Hannah Montana the movie. There were some other really good songs in that soundtrack too. If Hoedown Throwdown or Crazier by Taylor Swift had made the 2009 year-end list too, I would have definitely talked about them in this video too. But I'm glad we got one song from the movie on the year-end list, and what might just be Miley Cyrus's best hit song. Great work. For most of the videos in this series, I have often tried to predict what my number one best song of the year would be before listening through the year-end list. And most of the times, my predictions ended up being wrong. The song I predicted would be number one does usually make the list, but ends up actually being number 2 or number 3. Well, this song was my number one prediction for 2009. And yeah, I was way off, considering it's only number 7. Don't get me wrong, You Found Me by The Fray is still a very good song, and is second to How to Save a Life as the band's best hit. But yeah, there were 6 other songs that debut on the 2009 year-end list that I ended up liking even more. All of it, the main thing holding it back is Isaac Slade's voice. Like I said before, he does have a rather bored tone and isn't a very expressive singer. I kind of wish Chris Daughtry would have sung the song instead, but more on Daughtry later. Instrumentally, while it's not as heartfelt as How to Save a Life, it is more fleshed out and definitely tries to rock a little more. It's still not a full-on rock song, especially with the piano that does keep an element of softness to it, but it does definitely hit a bigger crescendo. I'd say it's about on par with the crescendo on the final chorus of Look After You. But then we get the lyrics, which are the best part about this song, and the primary reason I initially predicted this would be topping the list. Have you ever had one of those times in your life where nothing's going right and you're struggling to stay afloat and life just feels like it's beating you down and you wonder, why is God doing this to me? Why are bad things happening to good people like me? Well, that's what the song's lyrics are all about. The song's protagonist admits that he found God all alone and asks where he's been. He then laments that all his days were spent by the telephone waiting for a call that never came. God finally found them lost and insecure, having waited a little too late to answer their prayers. Many people who come from a Christian background, myself included, can definitely relate to that feeling of struggling, praying to God for help, but feeling like God's not answering your prayers. And Isaac Slade, a devout Christian himself, who wrote the song during a tough time in his life, definitely had a lot to draw from for this song's inspiration. Even if you're not religious, that idea of facing tough times in your life and wondering why bad things happen to good people is very universal. It's definitely one I relate to. I'm glad I found this song and can recommend it. Give it a listen if you haven't heard it.
I used to be like drunk, but now I'm hungover. Love you forever, forever is over.
I mentioned the club boom started during 2009. Well, something else that defined the shift of music from the 2000s to the 2010s was the decline of pop rock and mainstream rock. Sure, there was some rock and pop rock that was popular in the 2010s. I will be getting to that later on in the series. But I think 2009 was the last year where we saw a notable amount of rock and pop rock on the year-end list before the club boom kicked it out. I just talked about The Fray, but here's another example of such. Love Drunk by Boys Like Girls. This is my third time talking about this pop rock / pop punk band in this series, and here we had the lead single / title track from their second album, and what I believe is their best hit song. Like The Great Escape, Love Drunk is another upbeat pop punk banger with a catchy melody, though this melody is even catchier. That chorus is super infectious, and the guitar line and the hey chanting vocals really make you want to sing along. Whereas The Great Escape tried to go for a more carefree, not in the town sort of vibe, fitting with its lyrical content of finally being free from parental authority, Love Drunk has more of a loving someone at a party sort of feeling. Or at least is what I would say if this wasn't a breakup song. I mean, the verses do describe being in love with your partner, the hot sweat and blurry eyes, spinning around on a roller coaster, and the sky burning up like fireworks. It also talks about how they drove you crazy every time you touched, and how they made you want them so bad it hurt. But that's past tense. You're not in love with them anymore. You were love drunk, but now you're hungover. You said you loved them forever, but forever is over. Just one sip would make you sick. It could be interpreted as a toxic relationship that you're finally getting out of, or perhaps this relationship was just a one-night stand. It definitely sounds like a song that you hear from a pop punk / pop rock band from around this time. However, what makes the song stand out even more and makes me deem it Boys Like Girls' best hit song is just how fun and catchy it is. It does lean a little more on the side of electronic with its production, while still being a pop rock / pop punk song. I could definitely see this song fitting on Headley's The Show Must Go album, which came out the same year as this song. I also like the key change on the song as well. Given how this is a song about trying to change something, your relationship status, I think it makes sense for the song to change as well at the end, representing how you're no longer with this person. But I hope my love for this song never changes.
I'd like to make myself believe that planet Earth turns.
Now this one's a real relaxer. I said that Fallen For You is a song that I could almost fall asleep to. Well, Fireflies is a song that feels even more designed to make you nod off. The gentle synth-pop sound with the synthesizer and various other instruments including strings, piano, and vibraphone give the song a very relaxing lullaby sort of feeling to it. Even Adam Young's soft voice, especially on those first and final choruses, makes it sound like he's singing his child, or even himself, to sleep. Honestly, with some tweaks, I could see the song being a full-on ambient song. Not my first time talking about an incredibly relaxing song in this series, and both the composition and the lyrics are definitely trying to evoke sort of a summer night feeling to it. And as some of you know, I'm a sucker for summer night feeling sorts of songs. Not sure I call this the best song out of all the other songs I've talked about in that category, but it's definitely up there. And as for the lyrics, just like Sixpence None the Richer's Kiss Me, they also reinforce that summer night imagery it's going for. The first verse describes seeing 10 million fireflies light up the world while falling asleep. The chorus describes the planet Earth moving slowly, helping to give the song that gentle feeling. And the second verse describes being taught how to dance. Even when the chorus hits that crescendo, it never sounds too loud, and the harmonization behind Adam Young sounds very nice. The song's lyrics also discuss insomnia, saying that it's hard to say you'd prefer to be awake when asleep, leaving your door open just a crack, tiring of counting sheep, and being too tired to fall asleep. Yeah, I've been there before. And the final verse before the final chorus describes saying goodbye to the fireflies, but keeping a few in a jar. Yeah, that definitely evokes a feeling of camping outside on a summer night, and having a jar of fireflies be your flashlight. The song actually was inspired by a real camping trip Adam Young took. And yeah, he pulled off that imagery terrifically with this song. But even if you're at home, I can honestly see the song putting you to bed as well. If it's a warm summer night outside, and you have trouble sleeping, crack open your window a bit, and imagine fireflies flying into your room, illuminating up the dark, and dancing around you just above your bed. This honestly doesn't feel like the kind of song to be a hit in 2009, but I'm glad it was a hit, and even went to number 1 on the Hot 100. And spoiler, this won't be my last time talking about Owl City in this series. I'd like to make myself believe that this song is playing.
It's no surprise I won't be here tomorrow.
A little heads up, the top 4 songs on this list are all songs by rock bands. And we're starting off with a band that I've already talked about in the last 2 videos in this series, Daughtry. And here we have my personal favorite song I've heard from them, No Surprise. Like the previous Daughtry songs I've already talked about, No Surprise is another pop rock song with a great melody and a fantastic vocal performance from Chris Daughtry. But there are a few things that really make No Surprise especially stand out from the band's previous hits and make me deem it as their best hit song. The melody is hands down their catchiest yet, and it's definitely the most singable, even despite the song being mid-tempo. It doesn't quite have the same post-grunge element as their first hit, It's Not Over, but honestly, that's okay. For a breakup song, I think the pop rock sound fits it a little better. That acoustic guitar that starts off the song sets a tone for the song. It makes it clear the song isn't going to be heavy per se, and have an element of lightness, despite still having the prominent rock element we've come to know from Daughtry. And as for the lyrics, like I said, it's a post-breakup song. The first verse describes practicing what you're going to say to your partner before you actually say to them, and the chorus explains how it's no surprise you won't be here tomorrow, and that you can't even believe you stayed as long as you did. Your relationship will be a tough act to follow, but it's ultimately for the best. best. The second verse then describes how finally saying what you wanted to say lifted the weight off your shoulders, and it felt so good to let go of it. The song doesn't specifically mention any of the issues that occurred in the relationship, probably due to the song trying to sound as universal as possible to anyone who's had to break up with someone, which is okay. One thing I also like about the lyrics is how, despite following the typical verse, chorus, verse, pop song structure, the song does add an extra stanza on the second chorus and second bridge right before the outro. The second bridge specifically talks about the kiss goodnight, whispering your gay before going to sleep, and all the memories you have with them are coming with you when you leave. This helps to keep the song more lyrically interesting and give the listener a reason to keep listening after they've gotten halfway through the song. And it also helps to reinforce the nostalgia that will now be present in your ex following your separation. All in all, it's no surprise why I love this song. Don't lie, you knew this was gonna make the list. This is my 7th time talking about a Linkin Park song in this series, and I've already talked about all 5 of their previous hits. So why wouldn't I talk about their 6th too? And here we have what I think might just be the band's best hit song ever. It's not the song of theirs that's remembered most, but it is a song of theirs that I think hits the highest high. Like their 2 previous hits, this one leads more into electronic rock than the nu metal that they were originally known for, but damn do they make it sound awesome. In fact, this song hits harder than both of their previous 2 hits combined. The song has this very bleak, post-apocalyptic atmosphere to it, thanks to its key and lyrics, which makes sense given the sci-fi movie the song was made for. I did have a nitpick with what I've done, namely that it didn't really hit as hard as it otherwise could have, given its movie. Well, it seems Linkin Park learned from that and decided to have this one hit even harder. It's still not a full-on nu metal song like what you may have expected from them, but the late Chester Bennington belts a little harder on that chorus than he did on What I've Done, which helps add to the seething intensity of the instrumentation and emotion expressed in the lyrics. And speaking of the lyrics, I really like how poetic they feel. Bennington sings about seeing black skies of lightning, ashes falling like snow, and the ground caving in, and hearing a voice saying that he gets what he deserves. And on the chorus, he says that they should give him reason to prove him wrong, wash his memories clean, and find truth. It could be interpreted as receiving karma after wronging an ex-partner, or wanting to find truth after deceiving others for so long. Or, going along with the sci-fi atmosphere of the song, it could be a song about the world crumbling before your eyes, and looking for survivors, or a resistance group. I don't know if anything like that happens in Revenge of the Fallen, but it still feels like it would theoretically fit. I could see the song working for just about any sci-fi or post-apocalyptic film. Like with The Climb, you don't have to see the movie to enjoy the song, and I could safely say that given how I've never seen the movie New Divide Us From, and I don't have any plans to. I know a lot of people absolutely hate Michael Bay's Transformers movies, but if there is one genuinely good thing that did come out of them, it was both of Linkin Park's songs they made for their soundtracks. Seriously, go give them both listens.
121 guns, lay down your arms.
This is the obligatory mention for this list. Many year-end lists often have that one super critically acclaimed song that makes virtually everyone's best hits songs list, and is named a few people's #1 best hit song of the year. And well, 21 Guns by Green Day's 2009 song in that category. This was the band's 4th and ultimately final song to make a year-end list, and I did talk about all 3 of their previous hits in the 2005 video. And carrying along with the politically charged nature of the album American Idiot, 21 Guns gives us what feels like a natural continuation with some more lyrics that address politically tinged issues. Though instead of being directly about war, this song is more about patriotism, particularly from soldiers. The song's title is referencing the 21 gun salute, which in the United States is used to honor presidents. Given this is a song that came out during America's various wars in the Middle East during the 2000s, there were a lot of people back then praising veterans and the military in general. But Billy Joe Armstrong, on that first verse, asks these veterans if they know it's worth fighting for when it's not worth dying for. Is the war America currently fighting really worth sacrificing your life for? Does the pain you feel, literal or emotional, outweigh your patriotic spirit? And on the second verse, he talks about how when you're at the end of the road, complicated thoughts fill your mind, perhaps giving you second thoughts about fighting. Your faith is fragile and it won't last forever. And on the chorus, he calls on you to lay down your arms, give up the fight, and raise up your arms. Perhaps he's calling on you to pray to God to help you decide what to do, or maybe to surrender. Maybe it's better to throw yourself into the crossfire before contributing any more to the current unjust cause. These lyrics are very powerful. It's definitely not the only politically motivated song I've talked about before in this series, but this one is seemingly trying to reach out to the veterans who feel compelled to fight, because they genuinely believe, or simply might have been told, that's for the good of their country. But many of them deep down may actually agree with Green Day here. Equally as powerful as the lyrics is that colossal power ballad sound, reminiscent of a 70s arena rock song. The guitars and drums know how to hit that punch when the chorus comes, while still trying to invoke that patriotic spirit. When I hear that chorus, I can't help but think of military jets flying above a battlefield. It's definitely trying to sound awe-inspiring, and it definitely succeeded. Although as fantastic as it is, it's still not quite the #1 bestest song of 2009. But before I tell you what is, let's go through a few honorable mentions first.
And I can take you for a ride on my big green tractor. We can go slow or make it go faster. monster.
It feels a little weird that I'm talking about a Jason Aldean song in one of my best hit songs videos, given that he had the #1 worst hit song of 2023, which is arguably the most controversial and reviled song of the 2020s. But 14 years later, he actually put out a genuinely good song with Big Green Tractor. I like the smooth, foot-tapping melody, the electric guitar line, and the lyrics about asking your wife or girlfriend if she wants to go to town, go inside, or go for a ride in the yard in your tractor. Your girl's looking too good to not go somewhere. I like the sentiment of caring for your girl, and the pleasant summer night vibe, though this isn't even Aldean's best hit song, but that's for a future video in the series.
I run to you.
2009 is the first year since 2000 where there aren't any country songs in my top 10 bestest songs of the year. Competition kept them out, but this is the second best hit country song of 2009. I Run to You by Lady A, then known as Lady Antebellum, is a soft, gentle, mid-tempo song where a man and a woman sing about how they run to each other to escape the hate, lies, and prejudice of the world. It doubles both as a love song and a song about getting away from the cruelty of the world. The guitars sound great, as do Charles Kelly and Hillary Scott singing, including the harmonization, as well as that faint, high-pitched sound in the background that sort of sounds like whistling. It's a song that I'll definitely run to. I said that I Do Not Hook Up was Kelly Clarkson's best hit song of 2009. Well, My Life Would Suck Without You is her second best hit song of 2009. Not the one I would have liked to hit #1 on the Hot 100, but like I Do Not Hook Up, it's another upbeat song about a relationship. Though this time, it's about your ex showing up at your door because they want to give the relationship another go. And as it turns out, you miss him too, so you let them back in because your life is better with them. Pretty standard for a getting back together again song, but the foot-tapping melody, thanks to the guitar and synthesizer, and Kelly Clarkson's kick-ass vocals really make the most out of it. My life would suck without this song.
Somebody else that feels the same somewhere. There's gotta be somebody for me out there.
I feel like I should have talked about Nickelback more in this series. So far, I've only talked about them in the 2006 video. Well, hey, glad I could talk about a song of theirs in the final year and list they appeared on. Not sure if I call it their second best hit song after Savin' Me, but it's still pretty good. You could argue that a love song about wanting someone to love you until the very end doesn't really fit a post-grunge band like Nickelback. And yeah, maybe the guitars are a bit sludgy, but the bright melody and that light keyboard most prominently heard in the final chorus and the outro still sound nice, and I can appreciate the sentiment in the lyrics. Again, screw the Nickelback haters. They've made good songs.
Don't let me go. Don't let me go.
This was a phrase other hit in 2009, and one that barely even made the 2009 year-end list, being at the very bottom at #100. But I'm glad it just scraped by because it's a pretty good song. Not quite as good as You Found Me, but the piano melody is still pleasant, as are the lyrics about an on and off again relationship. The protagonist tells her partner to not let them go, and tries to pull themselves and their partner together, even as they grow apart. That feeling of wanting to stay in love with someone, despite drifting away from them, is pulled off pretty well. Also, while not absolutely fantastic, I do also like Isaac Slade's falsetto and the strings. Not the phrase best, but still a good song that I do enjoy and recommend. Okay, now it's time for the ineligible honorable mentions. Songs that didn't make the 2009 year-end Hot 100 list, but I wish they had because they're really good songs that still deserve a mention. Sometimes they're songs that didn't chart high enough to make the Hot 100 list, sometimes they didn't chart the Hot 100 at all, but did chart somewhere else in the world, and sometimes they didn't chart anywhere and are obscure or bubbling under the mainstream songs that are still really good. Let's talk about my picks for 2009's ineligible honorable mentions.
It's alright, okay. I'm so much better without you.
I already talked about a song about Miley Cyrus. Well, here's another song by a Disney Channel actress, Ashley Tisdale. And while not nearly as popular as Miley Cyrus, she did have a handful of charting songs in the late 2000s, including this song. It's Alright, It's Okay is an upbeat song about a failed relationship and walking out on your now ex-partner. You're so much better without them, and you won't return to them. The catchy melody, pop rock tune, and key change really make it stand out, while still giving it the typical late 2000s pop sound. Not the best song Ashley Tisdale's ever recorded, especially when you consider the songs Candace sung in Phineas and Ferb, but this song is more than just alright or okay.
Please just follow me. I thought you wanted me 'cause I want you all to myself.
Just a reminder that for my ineligible honorable mentions, I won't be talking about any songs I talked about in a previous video. So no songs by Headley, nor any songs that made the My Favorite Canadian Songs video. And I didn't talk about All to Myself by Mariana's Trench in a previous video, which is a great pop rock song thanks to Josh Ramsey's expressive vocals, infectious melody, distinct guitars, including the solo on the bridge, and lyrics about constantly screwing up in a relationship, but still want the person you're in love with regardless. It definitely feels a lot smarter, for the lack of a better word, than the rest of the pop rock that was popular during this time. I want this song all to myself.
Should I give up or should I just keep chasing pavements?
I was gonna talk about another, only popular in Canada song, Shiloh's Operator, A Girl Like Me, in this slot, but I decided this song was better. Adele is one of the most incredible voices to ever come out of the UK, and she always sounds fantastic. Chasing Pavements is a song about wondering if you should seek another relationship following a breakup, even if it means getting your heart broken again, or if you shouldn't try at all. Adele's vocals and the instrumentation give the song a very soulful feeling. It sort of reminds me of a Norah Jones song, except with more of a crescendo, and although it didn't end up giving Adele a year-end hit, it wouldn't be too much longer until she finally got one. Stay tuned.
I'm starting to see maybe we're not meant to be.
Although Headley and Marianas Trench never crossed over to the USA, Theory of a Deadman is one Canadian rock band that did manage to see some success in the States. This was actually the band's highest charting song on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking number 55. It's a pretty good post-grunge song with a pretty good rocking melody and lyrics about how no matter what you do, you can't please your partner and maybe you and they are not meant to be together. I definitely see why this was Theory of a Deadman's biggest song, given that it's their most commercially accessible single and my favorite song I've heard from them, definitely deserving to be their most popular. Check it out.
It's late and I'm awake, staring at the wall.
Even though this song was released in 2009, this song actually didn't really become all that popular until 2017, when it became a meme. I'm sure most of you probably associate this song with people falling in front of a space background. But putting aside the meme, I actually really think that Shooting Stars is a really good song. Like I said, I'm a sucker for songs that give me that summer night feeling. It gives me the feeling of someone waking up in the middle of a warm summer night, seeing a light outside their window, going outside, and seeing shooting stars or a huge bright light illuminating the sky. That summer night feeling plus the catchy synths and lyrics definitely make the song worthwhile. Check it out. But now, let's finally get to the part you've been waiting for. The part where I tell you all about the #1 best hit song of 2009.
Sometimes goodbye is a second chance.
So, 2009 ended up being another year in the series where I wasn't totally sure which song would be #1 at first. It was actually a toss-up between this song and 21 Guns, and honestly, it was a pretty close call. It took a few listens of both songs back to back to really decide which one I liked more, and maybe it would have been more fitting for this song to be #2 on the list given its title, but ultimately, I ended up deciding the Second Chance by Shinedown was the better song. So, what gave this song the edge? A few things. First of all, this is a song I'm much more likely to go back to than 21 Guns. It's a lot more commercially accessible thanks to its apolitical lyrics and shorter runtime. Yeah, 21 Guns is over 5 minutes long, which is definitely longer than the average pop song. And while Second Chance definitely hits a harder punch on its chorus, it still feels more akin to the typical mainstream rock of the time. 21 Guns isn't really a song intended for mainstream radio, even though Green Day is far more well-known than Shinedown. While 21 Guns sounds a lot more awe-inspiring with its arena rock sound, I really like the more alternative rock sound of Second Chance. It makes it fit more with the other mainstream rock from around this time. The guitars rock harder, and Brent Smith is definitely more of a belter than Billy Joe Armstrong. Not to mention the strings also give the song a bit more of an emotional feeling to it, which fits the lyrics. Yeah, they're not as poetic and thought-provoking as those on 21 Guns, but they feel a lot more relatable to the average person. It's a song about moving out and taking charge of your life. The chorus bent is telling your parents that you've done the best you can to make them realize this is your life. You're not angry at them, but sometimes saying goodbye is a second chance at life. You hope they understand, even if they're not happy. There are a few different ways this could be interpreted. One interpretation could be that the song's protagonist is a young adult and is deciding to move out. Perhaps they're leaving for college, and their parents are giving them a tearful goodbyes to say goodbye to their child. Or perhaps they just decided that it's time to live on their own and no longer want to be sheltered. They're an adult and can make their own decisions now. You could also interpret it as this leave not being mutual and the circumstances being less palatable. Maybe the protagonist comes from an abusive or broken household, and now that they're officially an adult, has decided to live on their own away from their troubled parents. Or maybe the protagonist came out to their parents, and their parents have decided to kick them out on their 18th birthday. Despite the parents not being accepting of their child's identity, their child has reaffirmed that this is who they are, and if they won't accept them in their household, then it's time for them to leave. The song's lyrics are written in a way to make it universal for anyone in any of those situations. And heck, as someone who lived in residence at university for 2 years, and did actually live away from his parents for some time, I can certainly relate to it. I think everyone to some extent can relate to that feeling of wanting to grow up and face the world on your own. Being able to break free from where you grew up and looking to tomorrow to achieve your aspirations is something many young adults hope for. That pre-chorus mentions seeing Haley's Comet shooting, and imagine asking why you're always running in place. Wouldn't it be great to get out of your parents' place where you don't have any restrictions on when or where you can go? And it also mentions the man in the moon disappearing, possibly a reference to growing up and no longer having the childlike imagination to see a face on the moon. But looking up at a starry night can make you realize just how small you are and make you feel like you want to make a bigger impact on the world. Moving out does something like the first step to accomplish that. It's not a song about savoring your childhood and being nervous as you enter adulthood, and it's also not a song explicitly about running away from home and never looking back. It's a song that embraces tomorrow with optimism and hope and wraps up in a package of epic mainstream rock. I could absolutely see why this ended up being Shinedown's most popular song, and their only one to reach the top 10, peaking #7 on the Hot 100. And although this band never had any other hits, I'm glad this song managed to become a hit at least. Enjoy the rock hits while you can, because there won't be very many more of them on the top 100 year and listen from this point on. I don't know if this song is going to be many other people's choice for the number one bestest song of 2009, but for me, after some thought, I decided it really was most deserving of this top spot. If you haven't heard it, go give it a chance. Fantastic song. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. We're halfway done with this series now, but we still got the 2010s decade to go, so stay tuned for my top 10 best hit songs of 2010 video. Hope you'll enjoy that, and see you later.